Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you guys an FL Studio hack where you could basically create what are called multi-keys, and I'm going to show you an advanced feature as well. So firstly, you want to find one-shots. I recommend anything guitar string based, like a bass guitar or an electric guitar or a nylon guitar, whatever. So anything that's a plucked instrument. Okay, we're going to grab these. We're going to right click, open in new channel. So basically we're just going to find the one shots we think will blend. Usually string instruments blend well. Okay, so if you pick random one shots, they might not blend well. Let's grab this one. So that's not, here's a guitar, but we want a more straightforward guitar. Let's see if we can find something like this. So a very basic pluck type thing. And this one has a little pitch wobble on it. Maybe something like this. So let's right click, open these up. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's grab one more. These are from Coupe de Truth's pack. Let's right click, open that up. Now this one's kind of low volume, so let's normalize it. Let's turn the volume down. Nextly, we're going to click the channel rack button here. We're going to click the plus icon. We're going to open up what's called a layer, and we're going to layer these 6 sounds. So firstly, let's highlight them. Grab your layer. Just move it out the way, highlight these in the channel rack, hit set children, and we're going to go to what's called random mode. And so basically when we hit a note, it will trigger, let me start with sequential so you guys understand. So if I have this on sequential, it will go through in order. It will trigger each one of those sounds every time I hit a key. So see the notes highlighting one by one. Now, if we put it on random, this will create a multi-key sound that you guys are used to. Sequential is more of what's called round robin. It's going around in a sequence, whereas random, it just picks any sample randomly. Okay, now what we could do is go to each sample. I learned this from Larry O. We can turn this to stretch mode so that each note that it plays is the equal length across the keyboard. If you have that turned off, when you play high notes, it will make the sample move faster. So we need to, now the only drawback to this approach is that it takes a long time to process all this stuff. So that I will say. So let's go to tools. Let's go to macros, switch all audio clips to stretch mode. That should save some time. But even though we just did that, it's not an audio clip technically, so that doesn't do it. So let's see, is there a way to do it for samplers? I guess not. So let's go in here, go to mode, stretch mode. Let's go to each one, put this on stretch mode. Okay, so again, that means that when I play those low notes, they will be the same length as the high notes. Very important. Okay, now to play the notes, you have to go to the layer tab. And technically, we can start here, where you can just play some stuff. Now, some notes seem off, so what I'm going to do here, this is the tricky part. We have to go through each sample and figure out which sample is out of key. So I'm playing one note, middle C. See, these two don't match. One's do and one's do. So let's click in here and let's pull this volume back to normal. Let's set the range to 12 and make it do. Actually, let's not do that. Okay, so it's just this one note that's off. Let's change this range to 12. It needs to be done. We can't go past 12. So I'm using my ear. Okay, so now they should be tuned. So that's the hardest part. You can load up. There's so much to teach y'all. I'm trying to keep this simple. If you hit Control L, you can go to your master channel and add the tuner plugin if you do need more help tuning individual one-shots. So you can play one note on your keyboard. So this says that's at C6. It tells me it's a little flat. Okay, I go to the next sound. I can't talk because it will mess up the tuner. Okay, so it says in the same range there. So that's a little sharp. So as long as these are playing the note C, we should be fine. Okay, so now you go back to your layer, and here's where you start arranging. Okay, so the layer will play all of the sounds. The individual sounds will only play those individual sounds. So let's record some chords in here. Let's go to like 108 BPM. Let's record some chords. So we can still hear some notes are a little out of tune. And also you want to make sure the notes are in the right octave. So again, this is the tedious part about this. Here's an advanced technique. So for the bass, I don't want the bass playing high notes. So we're going to set a range. This is called a key range. If you go to the wrench tool or just even the envelope tool, you can left click on the keyboard to select the key range. So if I select everything below C4, let's say, and then let's go all the way down to like C0. Basically, these notes will only trigger if I play those on my keyboard, which are really low notes. Let's even go up to an octave. So this is the highest note this note can trigger, which is a bass note. Okay, so the same thing here. We could do the same exact range here. I think it was B4 all the way down. Now the only thing is if you play two notes in the bass, it will stack. You gotta be careful with that, depending on how you played the notes. So now these bass notes will only trigger when I play super low notes, so we won't get this weird glitchy sound. Now the thing is, Layers still picks the bass as one of the quote-unquote children, so we have to understand that we're going to be missing voices with this technique unless we play those low notes. Or we can simply remove it from the group. Now for each sound, we can go in to the wrench tool and we could do stuff like turn up time shift. We could add some portamento here. So we're creating time differences and pitch differences. You could also go into the sample itself, go to the pre-computed tab and go to stereo delay just to switch it up. So I'll just be turning these random parameters on so that it creates a difference in each sound. We're adding that pitch bend effect, and then we could also add again stereo delay and different effects here on the front. So again, we're missing the sound. So instead of just having it trigger nothing, let's open up the layer, highlight only these four, and then set these as the new children in this case. And then now we can just copy our actual MIDI into the actual bass. So I just wanted to show you guys that advanced technique, but I'm actually going to turn it off because I want to hear the bass samples through these effects. So let's just turn that range off and let's actually run that back. Let's set these, all 6 of these. Worst case scenario, let's say the bass is playing too low of a note. You click on your bass and you can right click to reset what's called the root key. So I'm playing one note here on the keyboard. If I right click an octave to the left, it will pitch it up basically. So let's do that for each bass sample so that basically when the bass plays, it won't play the super low note that clashes with the chord. Now we get a unique sound. And now we can go to each bass sound and then do our portamento effects. So we got to figure out which note is not playing the right tune. They sound like they're all in tune. Maybe it was a chord I played. Maybe the portamento's up too much. Pull some of the portamento back. So we're pulling the portamento back so that basically every time we hit a note, it's not playing a different note than the one we're actually triggering, so that our ear's not being tricked as a sample being out of key. So let's pull back some of the portamento slide. I just wanted to show that to you guys. Alright, so one of these notes is triggering incorrectly, but before I figured that out, let's just play some chords again to the new metronome. So that seems fine. I don't know which note is triggering, but again, you guys the only difference between this and Pigments is that this is a very arduous process. Also too, if you wanted things to loop, you have to manually set the loop. So you can right click, edit, highlight, set a loop, double click, and then drag this whole sample back in, and now set this as a loop point. And then you could do what's called ping pong loop, which is a back and forward loop. But you would have to hold the note in order for that to trigger. So let me show you guys an example. Here, moving backwards. And again, you hear that click, so that also messes with. It's so much to teach you guys about everything here. That's why this is not the most ideal way to go about this. But let's do each one just to show you guys that it is possible inside of FL Studio. You just have to do a lot more steps than Pigments. Pigments makes this workflow a lot faster. So I'm just going to loop each one of these samples as the chords play. So now we're going to add that forward back looping texture by looping all these one shots. One of these notes is like, I can't figure out which note it is. I think it's this one. It's so hard to tell. Now you guys can hear it has a specific tone to it. It's like do. Again, the main difference is in Pigments you have a lot more quick controls. So that was a lot of work for that sound, but that's how you guys can achieve it in FL. Let's add a bass layer in here. All right, the new beta won't let me turn on overdub, which is super weird. So let's add this just manually here. All right, so now we have the bass line. Again, I don't know why it's being weird on the overdub feature. This must be a glitch. So let's hit Control V. So now that we have a loop in the sample, we can add the crossfade to soften some of those glitches and clicks that you guys hear. You can mess with the crossfade feature. And the reason I like the mixer is now we can see which sound is clicking and doing weird stuff, because now we could visually see what's playing. Alright, so the clicking noise is coming from this bass sample here. Also too, sample number 4. Okay, so now we can pinpoint to figure out which one's causing the issues. 3 has really bad clicking, so I'm going to mess with this crossfade more. Alright, so that's how you guys can pinpoint and solve the problem for each thing. A lot of work to get here. The final touch I would do is combine these into a group. Hit Control, highlighted these. Hit right click, route to this track only, and I might add a plugin called Hyperchorus as the final group sound. And maybe Transporter on top of this. Let me get rid of that click noise, it's bothering. Alright, so sound number 3 is just going crazy. I don't know how to fix this specific loop. I would have to sit here and zoom in to figure out why it has weird cross points here. Let's pull this back maybe. And then fade the input. Oops. Okay, I don't know where our sample just went. Where'd it go? I'll just leave it as is, but that click is a little annoying here. So now we have a loop. Let's add Transporter to the melody group. Let's add the octave here. Let's pull this up. Add the reverse. Now the new Transporter in the FL Studio 25 beta has this input sidechain, which we can trigger with a more transient element. That's a little more advanced, but I'll show you guys. Basically, we just need a kick of some sort. Let's just add a kick, something very like pointy. We're not going to have the kick actually play, so let's hit Control L, and then let's right click, fill each 4 steps, for example. And now we need to sidechain the kick to the Transporter, so we need to find the kick, right click, sidechain to this track. We're just going to turn the kick output down in volume. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the Transporter and right click the input and select the kick. And now the kick will trigger Transporter, because Transporter is cool, but it's hard to trigger it with with things that aren't as transient heavy. Okay, so let's hear all these sounds together. So now I got to arrange this so that everything's in one arrangement. Let's go to song mode. Okay, let's mess with Transporter real quick. Now we can do weird stuff like add gross beat. There's too many time layers, so never mind. Gross beat doesn't sound good for this. Maybe if we double click, pull it up an octave. So it's interesting, gross beat going into transporter. Pretty cool sound. Then you guys get that reverb. Add some granular reverb. Then if you're crazy, you can slow it down again with gross beat. Let's raise everything up one more octave. And then maybe add a filter at the end here. Okay, we can take it 1,000 different ways from there, but I just wanted to show you guys some more advanced tax in FL Studio. Thank you guys for watching. To learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. You guys can sign up for free, and we have some FL Studio courses in there for the full training experience. All right, guys, subscribe if you're new. Peace.